Yeah.
Hi, I'm Susan Kennard, and welcome to the Spiritual Awakener podcast. This is a podcast where I get to interview really fun people, really cool people with amazing stories where they've had a spiritual awakening or a turning point in their life, which has led them to help you, the collective, and me. So I can't wait to make you happy today. I can't wait to raise your vibration, to make you feel like actually life is really cool. Because my next guest, his name is Mr. Happiness 2000, AKA Stephen Surridge. That's his kind of like, name that he came in with. But his true name is Mr. Happiness 2000. So, Steve, welcome to the Spiritual Awakener podcast. It's great to have you here. I
Hi,
met
Susan.
you.
Thank you for
Yeah.
welcoming me to do this
No,
talk. I'm excited
you're
about this.
welcome. You're welcome. I met you through our joint, very good, lovely friend called Roshni.
I love
Who's
Roshni. Roshni's
amazing.
about,
We
yeah.
love Roshni. And I met you through her, which was really beautiful, and we really connected on lots of levels. So it's great to have you here on the podcast. I'm glad that you accepted the offer. So Mr. Happiness 2000. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's about being happy, but it's so much more than that, Steve, isn't it? So you
Yeah.
tell us who you are and perhaps like something that was really pivotal for you in your spiritual awakening.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I would say I teach happiness because I know how to be happy. And how do I know that I'm happy and I know how to be happy? Because I've been really miserable for a period of time in my life. My big thing is I
Yeah.
suffered, and I'd use that word, and certainly I suffered 15 years of chronic fatigue until my awakening.
Wow.
So, and I can't, people say, Steve, you're really happy, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of feel I had this massive block of my life where I wasn't happy. And that has made me
Mm.
so consciously determined to spend the rest of my life being happy. And so that it's almost like once
Yeah.
you've burnt yourself so much, you don't
Yes.
touch the hot
Yeah.
surface ever again. And I'm very
Mm.
sensitive and I've trained my awareness. So I'm very aware as soon as I
Yeah.
feel a bit groggy or a bit
Yeah.
neggy, I'm
Which
quickly, no,
everyone
get
does.
myself out of that. Yeah.
Yeah, which everyone does, but you've got to have the tools, haven't you?
Yeah.
Remembering those tools, haven't you, to know that you can come back into that alignment. So the chronic fatigue, I'm sure, if you're listening to this, guys, and you all know someone who perhaps hasn't felt well all their life, or always is really tired, or always feels depressed, and that's a really difficult state to be in, isn't it, Steve? And what
Yeah.
was it that kind of what was your moment, where you just decided, oh my goodness, like I can't live my life like this
Yeah. Well,
anymore. What the
what
hell
happened
is
to
this
it?
about?
Yeah, it's set in. It kind of, again, it's kind of, nothing is ever like one moment, is it? There's a chain of
No,
events
sure, sure.
that
Yeah.
over the period of time build momentum and they build our character. So I'll try and keep this short, I promise. I was born a very happy child, according to my mother. She said I was always smiling. And
Yeah.
once you're aware of this stuff, that's our true state. That's who we're meant to be. And then
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember at the age of 4 feeling, I think my surroundings were very insecure and I grew up a very insecure child. I put others first before me. If
Mm.
someone said, here's a cake, oh, let everyone else have everything first. And then I'd end up with the crumbs. I was that kind of child. And I
Yeah.
realize now,
Yeah.
without being disrespectful, I was certainly picking up my parents' vibration. They were very,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
were kind of hiding from the world, and they were kind of
Mm.
the programming that I had was that people were kind of,
Apologetic.
yeah, people were pretending to be happy, but they knew life had
Mm.
bruised them and they were a bit. So as soon as
Yeah.
an opportunity to expand or improve, the cynicism kicks in. It's like, oh no, don't do that. What if it goes wrong? Blah blah blah, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Wow. So
yeah,
that's
so
so like people will be listening to this, Steve, and they will be saying, oh yeah, 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 that's like literally how it is at home,
I wonder if it
And
is. I wonder if it's UK culture. I do wonder if it's a certain
I think a lot of
generation,
it
the
is.
post-war.
Mm.
If you think once you know this
Yeah,
stuff deeper, the children, the generation that were born post-war, there would have been a lot of fear in the parents. They would have picked that up in the
yeah,
womb.
exactly.
They bring that into the
Yeah,
world. They have children.
yeah.
So I think it's the chains of the
But we break
generation.
the mold. So we
Yeah,
break the mold, right?
yeah,
Because my mum's mum was in her 40s when she had her, And that was unheard of in those days, And so she was brought up with an older mother, which was post-war, and very fearful, very like glass half empty, all this kind
Yeah,
of stuff. And literally, I was brought up in that as well, Steve. And I've broken the mold as you've broken the mold. So my children and the children around all of us, actually have a completely different
that's kind
frequency
of exciting.
about.
So we're kind of spiritual disruptors, aren't we? We've come in
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah,
change the
yeah.
rules, change the
Change the
yes,
dynamics
yeah.
of it all.
Yeah, I do wonder if
Mm,
it's UK culture as well, the stiff upper lip, the class system, I'm working
yeah,
class, and it's like, no, know your place. And I've always
yeah,
dreamt big. And I realized,
yeah.
actually, sort of jumping ahead, but my part of my chronic fatigue, there was an emotional trauma, which I'll tell you about in a moment. But
Mm,
I also think,
mm,
and again, this is kind of overlooked, I think I've always had big dreams. I love Star Wars. I love the spiritual dimension of that, the force and everything. I
yeah.
realized that. And I was introduced to that from a young age, and that really inspired me. And I remember at about the age of 5 or 6, I was reading a Star Wars comic, and when I was reading about the making of Star Wars and George Lucas, and he was saying he
Yeah.
studied global religions and spirituality, and he wanted to package that
Wow.
and bring it to the world. But he wanted to bring it, he wanted to create a movie that was very joyous as well. He wanted, coming out of the 60s and 70s, where Vietnam, American kind of, national
Hmm.
psyche had been bruised. He wanted to bring back
Yeah.
optimism. And as a 6-year-old, I was absorbing
Mm.
this. And I remember thinking, I want to be that. That is what I want. I want to be a filmmaker or a media creator.
Wow.
And then you kind of grow up and people kill your dreams. And I think that was a
And
big part of my
we
chronic
allow
fatigue.
them to kill our
Yeah,
dream.
yeah. But until you
Yeah.
realize, okay, your dreams
Until
are
you
a
realise.
massive part of you. When you kill your dream, you kill you. So to
Yeah. A whole
reawaken you,
part of you.
you've got to
Yeah.
reawaken your dreams. So yeah,
Yeah.
but
I love
yeah,
that actually. That's really beautiful actually. And just to pause with that for a second, because to awaken you is to awaken your dreams. And
yeah.
I
And
actually
we've all
really
got
love.
dreams, but most people just see it as willy-nilly fantasy, waste of
Yeah.
time, stop daydreaming. And when you actually realize,
Mm,
Spielberg, who is another one of my idols, he says he gets paid to daydream. His
yeah.
dreams, his thought processes become movies that entertain the
Yeah.
world. And it's like,
Wow.
wow, these people are in alignment
Exactly.
here, aren't they? So yeah,
They're really in alignment with, their true creative flow, and actually they're making money from their true
yeah.
creative flow. Yeah.
I
But
actually
I
think
always
there's
think,
an element of I think they're extraterrestrials. I think to have
oh,
achieved
probably,
that kind of thing too
yeah.
young, I think there's definitely some kind of intervention
Yeah, I'm
was
sure.
put
Yeah,
into
I'm
their
sure.
makeup to bring them forward to our planet. Yeah.
So just going back a tiny bit before we talk
Yeah.
about the amazing work that you do, in with the collective. Um, go back a bit to this chronic fatigue.
Yeah.
How did your life look? I mean, what happened? Like, because I presume chronic fatigue means you're very tired all the time.
Yeah, I would describe it. It's like being an owner of a Ferrari or being a Ferrari, but you've got flat tires, you're stuck in reverse gear with the handbrake on, and you've got no
Mm,
petrol. Put it like that.
wow.
And the thing with me, I would say my life began at the age of 19 when I moved away from home. I grew up on the Isle of Wight, very backwater Britain, nothing
Mm,
exciting going on there. So again, that
mm.
fired my aspirations to make an impact.
David Icke lives there,
What's that?
doesn't he? David
Yes.
Icke lives
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this, David, we know you live there.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
and I moved to North London to go to uni to
yeah,
study my passion English and drama at the age of 19. And I always say my life began. And
yeah,
I was so stimulated. I'm a writer as
yeah,
well. My thing is, as well as
yes,
being a happiness coach, I'm a TV script writer, director, producer. And it's all to convey this happiness agenda.
yeah,
So all my stuff
yeah,
is got that underpinning it. But yeah, I was just stimulated. I love the people. Again, the word love. I suddenly fell in love
yeah,
with life. I was stimulated by the people. Just the sound of traffic. Other people could be at a bus stop bored waiting. I would be stimulated by the cars going by. I was very much in the moment and loving the moment.
yeah,
And my
good.
energy
Yeah,
went through the roof. And everyone was like, Steve, what drugs are you on? And I'm like, I'm just loving life. And then
Yeah.
you do realize, your manifestations, what you ask comes to you. And I got so much. Well, one thing is what I know you said before we started recording, you said, what are your moments? There's a few moments. One was, I loved the program Brookside. I loved the reality. I loved the kind of social critique of it. It was like an intelligent contemporary drama. If only most television was as intelligent as Brookside was when it was at its peak. And that's kind
So
of
if
one of
you're
my.
listening to this and you're stateside, because obviously I know a lot of you guys are from all over the world. Yes, we're interviewing this in the UK, but all over the world. It was almost like a soap. It was like a family, so we can explain it like that. It was like a family
It
situation,
was a
wasn't it? And it
contemporary
was,
show, and it was so
yeah,
contemporary. They were talking
yeah,
about what was happening. They referenced the pop group of the day.
yeah, yeah,
It was,
yeah, yeah,
and it
yeah,
was done
yeah,
so well. They used real
yeah,
houses. They didn't use studio
yeah,
sets. So when they opened the
yeah.
door, you had real
It was a
birds.
house.
Yeah, and it was so
Yeah,
real, but it was intelligent. It picked up issues that television had never done. One of them was sexual abuse, domestic violence,
yeah,
which
mm,
did resonate with me. I'll come
yeah,
back to that in a moment. They did stuff like Down syndrome babies, but normally,
yeah,
the character would lose the pregnancy with the Down. They dared to show
mm,
what it was like growing up with and it was intelligent. It was very
yeah,
sensitive. I loved. They
mm,
picked up these big raw issues. They were one of the
mm,
first to do lesbianism or sexual
mm,
confusion, but they did it so tenderly and sensitively, and that
yeah,
was the thing that made it stand out. And I don't think people were aware
yeah,
of that. They just thought, oh, they're doing these big
yeah,
issues, but it was the way they handled it, and I that
yeah,
really impacted on me. And I kept asking. I was living in London. That was filmed in Liverpool, and I kept asking, writing letters saying, I want to do work experience. I love the show. I want to. And they kept
yeah,
saying, no, 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 no. But because I was happy and loving life,
yeah.
I just rejected it. I just thought, okay, and let it go. Wasn't going
Doesn't
to let
matter.
anything dampen my party kind of thing. And then I'd say a year later, an opportunity came up through cooperative components, and I ended up
Mm,
on the set of Brookside. It taught me everything I know about telly. And
yeah,
I said to the guy running it was an acting for TV course that got me, and I had to pay to go up there
yeah,
for a weekend. And I said to the guy that was running it, he was one of the show directors. I said, look, I love this show. I'm not here to be an actor. I want to know
yeah,
about making telly. Can I do an internship or something? And he said, yeah,
yeah.
just ask that lady over there. Tell her I sent you.
Incredible.
And
Yeah,
I ended up working on the set of Brookside on and off over 7 months. And that was can
yeah,
you believe it? It's like, that was my favorite show ever.
yeah,
And I was just watching it. And that taught me everything.
yeah.
And I constantly reference Star Wars and Brookside are my go-to references
It's
whenever
your
I'm talking
go-to.
TV.
Yeah.
But there's so
So
much
you,
love from me
so
for those
I just
products.
want to kind of like, because I'm thinking about my audience here, and I know that many people, suffer from the lower energies in the sense of um, illness, disease, and so on, and things like that. And then many people have that. And so what you're basically saying to people is what I'm hearing you say is that actually when you change your environment and you access that part of you that lights up, and I call it like lighting up your heart, really. So as you're lighting up your heart, you're healing
Yeah,
that part of
yeah,
you that was in the dark,
yeah,
was kind of what I'm hearing from the guides. So it's like, that darkness that you had within you, which created the physicality of life. I just can't get out of bed, or I can't do
yeah,
this, or, I feel really ill. Actually, lighting up your heart actually transmuted that darkness, which transmuted the physicality. And we just need to do a disclaimer here that we, both of us, are not doctors and we do not claim to heal or cure. However, we are saying that there are many ways that we can lift our energy, and I know Stephen can talk about that, to change our perception of belief,
I would
can't
say
we?
everything comes down to energy.
Yeah,
Passion is energy. Happiness
yeah,
is you're allowing the flow of energy through you. And it's
yeah,
that flow of energy brings the euphoria of excitement, of
yeah,
anticipation, eagerness.
yeah,
We are meant to be like dogs when you throw them a ball and they come back
yeah,
and they're like, we're meant to be
Yeah.
like that. And I would
When
say
they see you in
again,
the morning, it's like they love you and they've never
yeah,
seen you before.
animals,
They're
they
like,
say unconditional love, isn't
oh,
it?
so
Animals, yeah.
lovely. I love you so
Yeah.
much. Our puppy does that every morning. Hi.
And
Yeah.
I would say, actually, on the point of it, I would say, and this is a bold, contentious statement to say, but from my experience, I would say most of the world is suffering from chronic fatigue. That, you know,
Yeah.
the reliance on caffeine, the reliance on, you know, coffee and all those energy drinks. You get the energy comes through your practiced chronic mental perspective, and that has to
Yeah.
be a loving, appreciative perspective.
Mm.
So a lot of people are waiting, and you know, my initial, you know, I say the beginning of my life was 19 when I geographically changed, moved to a new location and found stimulation. But I now realize, because I'll come on to the next part of the story, that didn't last. It is through we have to change ourselves to begin with. Before anything changes outside of us, we have to change ourselves internally. And by looking at the world appreciatively and you know, looking at the world lovingly, with excitement, having positive expectation. And what we were saying before we started recording, if there is nothing in your immediate surrounding that is giving you any buzz or sense of hope, then project further down the line, you know, start thinking
The
optimistically.
hopes and dreams
Other,
aspect.
activate your dreams. It's like, other people have been in my situation, but they got out of it. You know, I've been in this situation before and I've got out of it. You know, when people are broke, people don't remain broke forever. You know, money can fluctuate. I've had times I've gone to the
Money's energy, right?
Yeah, it is. And once you realize, okay, and once you realize the change starts with you. So many people think I've got to go out there and take action. And that fatigues you if you're not in a high energy state. Taking more action when you're knackered already, you're kind of digging the hole deeper. If you can just settle yourself and say, it's all about my mind, it's all about my perspective. And I teach the Abraham-Hicks stuff, which is ultimately find thoughts that feel good.
Say we've got somebody in there listening, Steve, and they're just, you know, like in that part of themselves, and there's no judgment with any of this, everybody. No judgment from either of us here, but you know, nothing ever kind of goes right, or there's a feeling of, well, I tried that, but that didn't help. Is there like one little, I know that, you know, law of attraction stuff is really powerful. So was there one little thing that, say somebody is in really dark place, dark night of the soul, is there one thing that you could offer them right now to, even if it's just like before they go to bed at night or when they wake up in the morning, what thing could you say to them?
This is a bit controversial, but I say this, and certainly with the British audience, they're like, oh, but you know what is one of the most powerful energies that we can all tap into? Sexual energy. Get yourself buzzing. I did a talk on this a month ago.
But people might not. The thing is with that though, is that and I agree with you, because we can manifest through that big time, right? Big time.
You can change
That's our
your
connection
energy in 20 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. But if somebody is not like open to that, then is there one thing? I mean, I know I always say to my people that I work with, I always say, you know, gratitude, like just one thing you can find to be grateful for as you go to sleep, or one thing you can be grateful for when you wake up in the morning. And not necessarily grateful for you, because that can be sometimes hard to find with people, but grateful for maybe the roof over your head, or the fresh air that you breathe, or
You
something
know what,
like that.
I would say my journey, I found that's where I think that's maybe want to be a spiritual teacher, because I found a lot of it a bit woolly. It's like, this is just words. And
I know.
I found, you know, it's almost, if you can't find anything to shift you, distract yourself, put on your favorite movie, listen to your favorite. The favorite is Love. You love that movie against 50 others. You love this singer. Focus your life on what brings you joy, even if it's not getting you electric and ecstatic, but just, you know, take time out to do what you want, even if it's like eating your favorite food or doing whatever. Find what brings you joy. And because all you have to find, this is the Abraham-Hicks stuff again, you know, if you're at the bottom, there's a 22 scale, emotional scale, they say. At the bottom is fear, powerlessness, depression, At the top is love, joy, appreciation. You can't go from 22 to 1 in one hit. You have to incrementally climb up. But if you can just find some sense of relief wherever you are, you will cope with the moment. And if it's just like, you know, watching telly and watching a comedy that makes you laugh, watching, putting your music on, reading a book, doing what we all know what we enjoy.
Animals.
Animals. Vote your cat. Look for a photo album of happier times or something. Just if you can find something that just brings you a slight shift of release, you're able to cope in that moment, and that being able to cope in the moment is enough. It's incremental.
That's really good. Actually,
people are wanting to win the lottery with everything, aren't they? They're wanting to go from 0 to 1 million, like, and it's not. What if you go from a 0 to £1 or 0 to 10p? That's enough. That's a change, isn't it?
That's a shift. That's a change. You can see that you exude this. You know, Steve, you exude this energy of excitement, but also kind of like it's a genuine excitement, right? And I would say that, you know, I get excited by and surprised, which is even better. I get excited and surprised as I watch my life unfold in miraculous ways. And I get surprised and I love it, and I'm like, oh wow, I come, you know, that happened. I thought about that and I really wanted to bring that in, and that happened just like that. And so I'm like, wow, that was amazing. But when I first started with law of attraction, I was like, don't believe this, don't believe this. This was a long time ago, right? And so I thought, right, you guys, meaning the team upstairs, I said, you show me. And I asked for a red pot. So I said, if it is really true that I can manifest anything and I can raise my vibration and create, show me a red pot. Anyway, I'd forgotten about it. We have a shop here called B&Q, for those of you that aren't, you know, here in the UK. And I went to B&Q and I was like just doing something else, getting something else. And there was a whole row of red pots, right? And they were for my plants. Now, what I didn't manifest was the right size, but anyway, at least I manifested the red pots. But, you know, it just shows you. And then
when you're
from
making that conscious connection, isn't it? That I asked for it and I've got it.
I asked for it.
And you get it effortlessly as well, isn't it?
And now I just like that, for me, I find amazing and so fun, you know, to play with energy like that, alchemizing. But if you're new to it, which you might be if you're listening to this, then you're like, well, how does that work? You know, because you're always brought up to think that you've got to work hard, you've got to, you know, do this. How can you manifest those things? So it is about being happy, definitely. Frequency. But what would you say about that, about the whole law of attraction? You know, how do you teach people?
I would say the word, you know, they say it's our belief system. And I think that's too big a topic. I think, you know, what are my beliefs? You know, I've been living 40 odd years on planet Earth, and you're expecting me to unravel my programming. It's like, how the hell do I do that? And I think that's just a word that is said too often, and it's empty. I think once you shift that word to what is your expectation? What is your expectation that life is going to bring you? What do you really feel you deserve? Then you get a bit of clarity. You get a bit of clarity. And then you can, and if you don't like what you expect, you can change that. Whereas just this belief, what do you believe? It's like, I don't know what you mean. So I would say just pay attention to it. Because I've always, it's funny, you know, you can have these daydreams, and then when you do decide, you know, the Abraham-Hicks stuff says thoughts are magnetic and you attract more of what you focus on. So if you focus on stuff, and if you can underpin that with thoughts that make you feel good, you're going to start attracting in more thoughts that make you feel good. And this work becomes easier and you get momentum going. So it's being conscious of the relationship of the thinking and then the emotion that kicks in as a result of the thinking. But
absolutely, because that's the frequency, isn't it? So how do you work with people? So Steve, obviously it's Mr. Happiness 2000, and is that your website? Or
MrHappiness2000.com. I do a monthly live stream over YouTube sessions, which are free, for anyone, and I do all different topics.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it's all
And that's
the
the
same.
same name, Mr. Happiness
Yeah,
2000.
you can find the information on there. And I go through a
Yeah.
meetup site where it tells you more about the different topics
Yeah.
and what date and everything, and you can subscribe. Oh, it's free. You just sign up to that for free, and it updates you on what the next topic is, gives you the links and everything,
Okay,
sends you a prompt.
good,
So
good.
yeah, so
So
it's really
if you're listening
easy.
to this, you can do that and basically contact Steve that way. But also, if say somebody's listening to this and they're like, yeah, I actually could do with a dose of Steve. What what as a medicine?
Yeah.
What how would you work with them?
Yeah, okay. I used to
Yeah.
do positive solution focused, I called it happiness coaching,
Mm,
but I heard another term
mm,
that is positive solution focused counseling. And we do
yeah.
an hour session, and I'll say, right, the first 10 minutes, then you can tell me what's going wrong. And they
Mm,
sit there and they reel off this is normally I haven't got
yeah.
this, so it's the lack thing. I haven't got this hasn't happened.
Relaxing.
I wanted
Mm,
this, didn't happen, so blah blah blah. And then,
yeah.
okay, and how does that make you feel? And they're like,
Mm,
crap. And so many people that come to me say, that's why I've come to you, because I've gone to traditional counseling,
yeah.
and they just get me to focus on the problem, and I come out
Yeah.
feeling worse than when I went in. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, I know why that is, because
I've
thoughts
heard
are magnetic.
that.
You're going to get more of
Yes.
what you focus on. So then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, the next 50 minutes, then tell me how you, not talking nonstop, but tell me what you want. What do you want from life? What are your dreams? And I say,
Mm-hmm.
no judgment, be completely open. Tell me your wildest
Mm-hmm.
fantasies. Just
Wow.
unleash. Just tell me what's in your head, what the dreams are that you've squashed, that you've quashed.
Yeah.
Tell me what you wanted to do as a kid. Just tell me what your dreams are. And they
Yeah.
just start getting them. It's a struggle to begin with, because people haven't practiced this dialogue. They practice the what's
Yeah.
going wrong, life's crap,
And
blah blah
also
blah.
don't don't say anything. Don't say anything. That's a silly idea. That's like going to the
Yeah,
moon. Like, don't even think that you could do that,
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
they've held it for
yeah,
such a long time in their heart, and no one's going to hear them.
yeah.
So therefore, why
Yeah.
would you want to hear them? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so it's like, just tell me. And I've got a set of questions to prompt
Mm,
them, but it is,
yeah.
yeah, who's your fantasy Hollywood star or something, like, who was your childhood
Yeah.
crush, and you just get them,
Yeah.
and that people just start to lift, and their energy
And do
changes.
they get emotional? Do they
Yeah, they
release
do.
and
People
get
do,
emotional?
because and again,
Mm,
you know, I'm always I'm no guru. I haven't downloaded tablets of gold that are I'm kind of bringing I would say, a much more playful,
yeah.
accessible version of the Abraham-Hicks stuff, because there's a bit of
Yeah.
jargon around
Yeah.
that. She talks a bit
You
weird
sure bet.
sometimes. So I'm just
Yeah.
making it really accessible and playful. That's my,
Yeah.
and yeah, so I just get
So
people to
people
have
would
fun
have
with it.
like one session with how does that work? Is it like a series of sessions, or
Yeah,
would they
we
have
can
one?
book as many as they want. Yeah, I'll say,
Mm,
have it, do your first session with me, and
yeah.
then we see
Hmm.
how it goes, and
And
then
can you
you
do
can.
that online? I know we're in the
Yeah, we
UK, but
can.
obviously
It's
I
over
work
Zoom. Do
internationally.
it over Zoom. It's
So
actually easier over Zoom. People feel more
mm,
in control, because so much of this,
yeah.
being vulnerable. People don't want to feel,
Yeah.
half the fear of counselling is that, you're going to be vulnerable, isn't it? You're going to be in a room and exposing
Absolutely.
yourself,
Yeah.
isn't it? And it's,
I
yeah,
think that the Zoom. I mean, I obviously only work on Zoom, and I think the Zoom thing allows so much freedom, not only to reach more people across the world, but also for people to say, you know what, I have the control to turn this
yeah,
off at any moment. So if they felt uncomfortable, they could turn their video off. If they felt, I've never had that with anyone yet, but people can do that. And I think the
yeah,
fact that you've got that empowerment in that moment, I think really helps some
yeah,
people that perhaps have never talked about how they
yeah.
feel,
I
you
know in the
know.
UK as well, I'm in my 40s, and I'll say it's only the last, say, 20 years that therapy, this kind of self-acknowledgement,
Yeah,
self-assertiveness, not in an aggressive way,
yeah,
but any kind of self-help, has been seen as acceptable. Before, it was like, oh, those
absolutely.
wacky Americans that do all this find you in
Yeah,
the card shit and that kind of thing. It's like, no, this is
which
so
is
integral to,
so powerful. I
yeah,
mean, it's just like I think going back to what you were saying about, the whole English or British stiff upper lip, the whole thing with PTSD and war, obviously, I worked with veterans for a long time at one point, and the PTSD thing was never acknowledged. It was always called shell shock,
Yeah.
and people just got on with their life. And I think now, in the sense of talking about things and healing themselves and so on, that now is so acceptable.
Yeah.
Whereas before, it was you just got on with it, suppressed it, put it under the
Yeah.
carpet. No one spoke about abuse. No one spoke
Yeah.
about, bullying. No one spoke about, anything, did they? Being
Yeah.
beaten. No one
I
spoke
would
about
say
it.
I had,
Now we do.
yeah, my early journey, going back to my story, I think I had PTSD as a teenager, because at the age of 9, again, growing up feeling very insecure, and I didn't change that, and I just felt very vulnerable and fragile as a
Yeah.
child, and that
Yeah.
manifested at the age of 9 as a sexual assault. And
Yeah.
that, I've heard other people, it was not nowhere near as bad as other people have experienced, but the damage I did to myself, and I'm
Yeah.
conscious that's what caused the
Mm.
shame, the guilt, the why did I
Yeah.
allow that to happen. And
Yeah.
I buried it for about 10 years and never told
Yeah.
anyone. It was only when I went to uni and changed location that I was able to start talking about it. And then I was shocked that I met so many other people my age that had gone through it. And I thought, wow,
Exactly.
for a decade, I thought I was the only one. And then you suddenly
Yeah.
realize
So
there's
there's,
a generation of people that are
mm.
going through it. But yeah, I
But also
certainly
you would have
felt that.
attracted that as
Yeah,
well,
exactly. And that was a huge part
experience.
of my healing, sharing
Yeah.
my
To talk to those
experience and then
people.
other people sharing theirs. Yeah, some of my best friends have been through the same experience. And it is that vulnerability and sharing and opening up that have
Yeah.
created those real deep, heartfelt, genuine friendships. And I'll say
Relationship.
it's weird
Yeah.
that, something as traumatic as that and potentially destructive, there is a positive to that tragedy, in the
Yes.
fact
Always.
when you've been really hurt, you
Mm.
actually are able to have deeper relationships when you find people you can
Yeah.
genuinely trust. And
Yeah.
that the relationship exists, it's not verbal. You can be in a room and you're communicating on an energy level. And
Yeah.
and you're friends for
A
life.
resonance, like a
Yeah.
soul resonance. Yeah.
And you can drop out
Yeah.
of each other's lives for say 10 or 20 years, but you've still got that
Yeah.
glue, that connection. And when you meet
That's
up,
beautiful.
yeah, and it is. I would never have thought that. I would never. You just think, okay, that's happened to me. And I'm in one of
Mm.
my mindsets. I'm damaged. I'm damaged, and I
Yeah.
do
Yeah. Yeah.
think. And
Damaged goods.
I think.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so I
Mm.
went to. So I had. So that's my story. So I was a happy kid. Then I
Mm.
got assaulted. Had teenage years of PTSD and burying this trauma, not dealing with it. Went to uni. For the first year and a half, I was able to open up. I found this massive shot of adrenaline and energy in my perspective. And then be careful what you ask for if you're not ready. I'm open on this now, about this now, but I never was before. I found myself attracted to a guy, and I'd kind of had crushes, but never, I would say,
Mm.
really heart strong. And he was in a different year to me. He was just on the edge of my life. And I remember thinking, I'd love to meet him. I met him, I fell in love, and then he dropped. And I remember I couldn't handle it. I remember, again, this is where I had an example of law of attraction. I'd say about 15, 17 years before I was consciously had it explained to me. And this is, you asked, what's the key spiritual moment? It was kind of a tragic moment in a sense that it
Mm.
created my 15 years of chronic fatigue, but it was the biggest learning point. I was on a high. I attracted in this guy that sent me to the moon and back. I was so euphoric. And I was like electric. I was like, my God, it's the most happiest I've ever felt. And I think that's partly why I'm a happiness coach. I've experienced how happy you can be as a human being. And once
Yeah.
you've experienced that, you can't forget it.
Yeah.
And so I would say I haven't retained those heady heights, but I'm halfway
Yeah.
there. And that's enough. But having
Yeah.
had that experience, but then, and I remember, and everywhere I went, this guy was there after I met him, and it's certainly attraction. Once you're on the frequency,
Once you're
they're
on that
there.
frequency, yeah.
And then I got scared. I was like, my God, I'm gay. I fancied it. I feel for this guy, and I was so ripped emotionally and
Mm.
and I turned that emotion of love and euphoria to fear and gut wrench. And then this guy dropped out of my life, and I was very needy, and I felt he gave me this high. I need him to feel this good. And I think that's what the chronic fatigue was. It was like a yearning,
Mm.
but it made
Yeah.
me face all my suppressed crap that I buried.
Yeah.
And it made,
Yeah.
and one thing with abuse,
Cracking
I'd
open
say,
your heart as well.
yeah,
It's cracking open your heart.
yeah, it did.
The
It was a process I had to go through. Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing with abuse, it makes you not like yourself, hate yourself even.
Mm.
You know, I said earlier, the blame. Why did I blame myself? I didn't so much blame
Yeah.
the individual that assaulted me. But why did I let this happen to me? Why was I so stupid? Why didn't I see it? And I had that thought pattern going on for years.
Running
And
through.
that's destructive. And so the journey of my 15 years of chronic fatigue was coming, obviously it came out of it at the end, but it was learning to love myself, and I had to accept myself. And you realize with any trauma event, you can't change the event, you can't change your past, but you can change your perspective on the event.
Absolutely.
And that's going back to, if you can just find some relief, a better feeling perspective, even if it's not completely eradicated, but you just find that feels a bit better, you start the healing journey. And then
So you
when
can
I was
start to make
introduced
sense of it a bit,
what's that, sorry?
you know. You can start to kind of change the perception and just say, well, actually, that was just that moment in time, and that led me to open my heart more, or
Yeah,
go on that journey, or experience that, or
life is
live my
incremental.
mission.
We
Yeah.
want everything to be McDonald's drive-through, and we want everything to be a 2-hour Hollywood film, and it's not. It's can take, because I'm a writer and I write, stuff that's in a film or in a series.
Yeah.
And then I'm actually realizing I'm actually writing and sharing my experience in a packaged way. But these 2-hour story I've written is actually 30 years of my own life experience. So it took me 30 years.
Well, look at my book. How long did it take to come out? Is actually out this year. The one I spoke to you about, the Hay House Writers Competition that I won. And that was years in the making.
Yeah. And
I
everyone
was like,
looks at successful
finally out.
people and go, oh, they
Yeah.
did that. They got it there quick. And it's...
Yeah, but it's not quick ever, those things.
These things
It's quick in the
incubate,
sense that
don't
it
they?
looks quick.
Yeah.
Huh?
They incubate, or I call it
They incubate.
When things are manifesting, I say they're still in the microwave. They're still going,
Yeah.
And when it manifests, it ding, and then
That's it.
Yeah.
And this is a great time. Like, this is an incredible time in the world. Like, we're recording this on the 7/7 actual 7/7 portal, and it's 2022.
Wow,
So it's like a really powerful energy. And it's incredible time for everybody to really access that part of them where they can create an amazing life. So I think
we are creators. That's the core of yoga. We are
just
creators.
to remember that. To remember you're a creative being, and that you co-create with the universe. Your energy co-creates with the universe. And it's like, I love that, the work that you do. And so, if you're listening to this and you feel like, oh my God, like I just really feel like I need to have a dose of happiness, and I need to know like these tools, then contact Steve, definitely, Mr. Happiness 2000. Your website is there. They can get a hold of you there.
Yeah, everything is on the website, so they can email me through the website. They can find the meetup group. Yeah.
Could you offer them, like, if they mention our interview, Steve, could you offer them like a 10-minute kind of free consultation or something?
Absolutely.
Just check in with you.
Do a 30-minute freebie. Yeah.
Oh, a 30-minute freebie. Amazing. Okay. So if you're listening to this and you're kind of like, well, I don't know, I've tried cancelling, I've done this, I've done that, then just take Steve up on this offer. Mention the podcast, mention that you've heard him being interviewed on the Spiritual Awakener, and you want to take him up on the offer of a half an hour or 30-minute consultation, and be mindful of his time. Be mindful of his time.
I'll make sure we both enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. Enjoy the time, and be happy with that time, which is great. And so definitely contact Steve at Mr. Happiness 2000. Steve, have you got anything, because we're coming to the end of time now, but have you got anything, that's coming up for you that you want to share with everybody? in your work? Anything that's coming up?
Yeah, I do these monthly meetups on
Yeah,
as I said, on Meetup. They're broadcast over
yeah,
YouTube. You can watch on my YouTube channel, which that meetup and my website will take you to. You can watch the
yeah,
previous podcast video casts on there.
yeah.
I'm also a drama coach as well, and it's funny because my passion for storytelling, again, my ask because I want to be one of the best. You know, my heroes are
Yeah,
Spielberg and Lucas, and I realize all of my work is underpinned with law of attraction, because law of attraction is life, isn't it? So it's not like it's some
yes,
woo-woo concept. It's the
absolutely.
fundamentals of
It's the
human
law of the
psychology.
universe.
Yeah. And when you
Wonderful.
realize that, and luckily I've got a team of writers, I'm working on a soap opera which is going to revolutionize television. So it's going to empower. I
Ooh.
think I love television, but it's very
Mm,
negative in its function at the
can
moment.
be.
I
It can
realize
be.
the influence of telly. Yeah, because I
Mm,
found out the clarity of law of attraction was given to me through the movie The Secret. And that was a
mm.
televisual experience. So television, two
Yeah.
things have changed my life: Star Wars, which was spiritual, and The Secret.
Brookside.
And yeah, Brookside as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, and it was that once you realize the power of television, and people like the brands like Oprah, and
Mm,
Sesame Street, even that use Muppets
mm.
to teach us how to count and do the alphabet. You
Yeah.
realize it's so influential, yet most of what we watch is murder, crime, and all this doom and gloom.
Mm.
And I think no, television has got the power, but television also builds like a sense of community in the audience and
Yeah. Yeah.
talking points. And my pitch, and I know it's going to manifest, and this is where it's so exciting, and I can see this is where all this work is leading me to. I'm
Yeah.
pioneering audience interactivity, not where you just press a few buttons, but where you can actually join
Yeah.
a community to train to be in the shows you watch, and
Yeah.
also
Wow.
suggest the storylines of the shows you watch, sharing
Yeah,
experiences
because
from your own life.
bringing that creative flow through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to
Amazing.
everyone, sharing that with
Wow.
everyone and embracing, because
Yeah.
they say the average person spends 10 years of their life staring at content. I think, what if you took
Yeah.
that activity but
Mm.
activated and made it much more beneficial to the audience member instead of just passively
Wow.
staring?
So
So
you've
that
got,
you
Steve, you've
heard
got
it
a
here
lot of,
first.
I heard it here first. But you've got a lot of very exciting, and this is how you live your life, right? And so
It
do
is,
I.
yeah.
A lot of exciting things going on. And so if you want to you're listening to this and you want to have a dose of happiness, like Steve, like
Oh,
me, living our life really in our true essence of who we are, then definitely contact Steve at Mr. Happiness 2000 and take him up on his offer. Steve, thank you so much for being
no,
here,
thank you. Brilliant.
bringing your
Yeah.
beautiful energy and your
Oh,
light and your love and your happiness to my audience. And
thank
I'm
you.
sure you'll be hearing from them. And yeah, if you know anyone, you're listening to this and you know anyone that would really, really value to listen to this podcast, then definitely send it to them. And you'll find it on YouTube. So you're either watching this on YouTube, so you see us on video, hey, or you're listening to us both on Apple or Stitcher or any of the major podcast platforms. And if you've got a spiritual awakening story that you wish to share with my audience, please email me at susan@susankennard.co.uk or find me on my website, susankennard.co.uk. Much love for now, and thank you, Steve, again for being
Thank you.
on Spiritual Awakener podcast. Much love.